You're listening to the Vint Wine Podcast, where you'll hear interviews and stories from around the wine world. From writers and critics to winemakers and sommeliers, we'll explore the people and businesses who are instrumental in shaping wine culture. Enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of 5 Questions. In these quick conversations, we highlight the world-class writers, winemakers, and sommeliers featured on our full-length episodes in a quick 5-question format. We hope you learn a little bit more about the wine world and the people and companies that make it run. Enjoy. All right, we are here with 5 Questions with Geoffrey Moss. Thanks so much for joining today.
Thanks for having me.
Perfect. We'll dive right in. First question, what is your role in the wine industry?
I work on the sales and marketing side of the industry, so largely helping wineries with direct-to-consumer sales, which can stretch everything from helping people with their wine club, which is what I wrote my Master of Wine research paper on, to helping with online sales, or digital marketing, email marketing, and all of that fun stuff.
And I was going to say you're a Master of Wine. Should have led with that one.
I think you can almost always count on a Master of Wine to mention they're a Master of Wine. I've learned. I'm not the best at selling myself.
Nice. All right. Question 2. What do you think is the most important issue facing the wine world right now?
I would pick 2, ideally. I'm in the Okanagan, and it's difficult not to pick climate change. And I think the increased prevalence of extreme weather events. And it feels like we're talking about that anywhere in the world. Anytime you visit a wine region, we're talking about impact of extreme weather events. In the Okanagan, it's quite pronounced because we're getting these extreme heat events in the summer. We saw that in years like 2021, where we had the heat dome. So you had heat dome in the Pacific Northwest, but that stretched up into BC as well. And then we're also dealing with extreme cold events, where we're dealing with temperatures that can threaten the survival of vines as well. So it feels like we're dipping on both sides, really feeling the impact of extreme weather events alongside wildfires as well. So we just keep getting hit with everything. So we've had wildfires in 2023, 2021, 2018, 2015. And so to me, that would be the top of mind concern being in the Okanagan. But it would be difficult not to mention changes in consumption habits as well. It is a real concern in terms of the potential health and longevity of the industry. I don't think it's ever going to go the way of like cigarettes, where it is taboo, but I hope that we're not at a new level of consumption, that this is our new baseline, because I think if that's the case, it's going to have significant ramifications across the entire industry.
That's thought-provoking, but also concerning. We've had a couple other guests mention the same. We will stay tuned on that one. Question number 3. What is one wine region or 2 that you think more global wine drinkers should know about? And I have a feeling I know which one you're going to highlight.
I guess I would say the Okanagan. It's a beautiful place to visit. The currency exchange makes it very favorable. There are lots of great reasons to visit the Okanagan. Wines are amazing. But if I'm going to take off like my pro Okanagan hat for a second, I would say Baja California. And I went to Baja, I guess it was 2 or 3 years ago. And like I had tried some of the wines, and I import a small amount of wine. One of them is from Baja California, and I love that wine. But I wouldn't say it was like a region, and we're talking about Baja de Guadalupe, but a region that I know particularly well. And so I went a couple of years ago. I was like blown away by everything. So we flew into San Diego. It's an hour-and-a-half drive to Ensenada. You're on the ocean. It's stunning. You go to the wineries, and what I loved about going to the wineries in Baja was it wasn't like they were trying to be anywhere else, which is what you always feel like in new emerging regions, like in the Okanagan, for example. Like, we want to do Napa, or we want to be Bordeaux, we want to be Burgundy. It was like, no, you go to these wineries and like, no, we're just going to be Baja. And that starts from like the architecture, how it beautifully blends into the landscape. Then you try the wines, which in a lot of cases are these like weird kitchen sink red blends. And you look at the list and it's like Nebbiolo with Tempranillo, with Rhone varieties, with Bordeaux varieties. And you're like, this is a little strange. And then the taste makes a lot of sense. But it's like having that confidence that to do something that, again, on paper or from a textbook perspective, you're like, how are you going to do this? This makes no sense. There's no like framework or benchmark from to work from. Again, I think it's that confidence that, no, we're doing it our way. And I think I also loved food as well. I think there's some great wine. The wines on the whole probably fairly hit or miss. But then you combine that with the foods, which was incredible, just amazing food across like all the restaurants and wineries we went to. And to me, if I was living in California, I'd be going to Baja California all the time. I just loved it.
Yeah, I completely agree. We used to go every year. We missed this year, but huge fan. And I completely agree. You will find this Mexican Nebbiolo that we can go down a whole rabbit hole of what that actually is. But yeah, amazing value with the food too.
I just loved it. I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah. Question 4. What is one wine trend that you currently disagree with or don't like?
Probably a couple. I think the one, if I had to, like, this is like my soapbox a little bit, is people claiming they're organic but not being certified. Difficult to call that a trend, but it just feels like we've seen that a lot over the last 10 years in kind of an era of greenwashing. And I think it's unfortunate because a lot of times it's not true. Well, we farm organically, but we'll use Roundup and herbicide occasionally if we need to. That doesn't really fly with me. It's like either go through and get the certification, or what I really want to do and what I've tried to pitch a couple of people on is, if you're going to start publishing spray records, and I'd love to have someone have the confidence to just be like, you know what, we're not certified organic because, I don't know, we want to have a just in case we need it, or we're not certified organic because we're small and it costs a bit of money, although I think that's often overstated by wineries. If that's the case, and you're going to say you're organic, we'll publish your spray records and show us that that's true. And I've never seen, I think I saw one Greek winery do that, but they're also certified organic. So it's like they're just doing what they have to do anyways. But I'd love to see someone have that confidence, because otherwise it's too much of, we're farming organically. Unless I see like a certification, I don't care. It bugs me. So I'd like to see that trend disappear. And one could generalize and say that overall greenwashing trend, I'd love to see that disappear. Again, because we can be a very sustainable industry. There's not really a need for it. The second trend that I would love to disappear is the increased prevalence of mouse taint. And I was going to say, you can tie this into natural wine, and I don't need to go on a natural wine rant. I think it has its place. But the one thing that doesn't have its place is mouse taint, which I think is horribly disgusting. And I think just use a little bit of sulfur, let's clean the wines. And so I can go my entire life with never having a wine with mouse taint again.
Quickly, how would you describe mouse taint in 30 seconds?
Yeah, if you imagine the taste of mouse droppings, not that I've tasted mouse droppings, nor will I, hopefully, that's what it tastes like. It's interesting because it's something that you can't smell. So for smelling a wine, it's like, this smells like wine. It smells like I can put this in my mouth. And then the wine interacts with your saliva. It changes their pH. And that's why over time, the perception of mouse taint comes out. The initial impression, it tastes like wine. And then all of a sudden, oh no, it doesn't taste like wine. It tastes like mouse droppings. And so it's kind of like, almost like you're like a sneak attack of mouse taint is how I describe it on your palate, which is very unfortunate. But really probably fault that's most aligned with natural wine, because typically if you're using sulfur, it shouldn't be an issue. So we're talking about like really those sulfur-free wines.
Yeah. It's always interesting to hear how people describe it, because nobody can really put a great description together for it. Everybody has their own way of describing it.
I wish I had a better way. It just tastes horrible. I think to me, the like few things, I like some people are like, shouldn't mind a little bit of mouse taint. I said, no, to me, just no mouse taint. I can go my entire life without ever having or tasting it again.
Nice. All right. Last question. What is one wine related experience in recent years that stands out to you the most?
I guess I was just in Portugal. I have like a bad habit of just really liking what I've done most recently. I was just in Portugal in the Douro for the first time. And I think what stands out to me is I was like hiking up one of the mountains and just like basically going through vineyards the entire way up. It wasn't like part of a wine experience or a vineyard tour. It's really just more of a hike, but you're like going through vineyards the entire way up. So we walked, was it like an 8-kilometer loop? We're going 400 meters up in elevation. And it just felt like, I really feel like I understand the Douro in a weird way now, just because it felt just amazing to be walking through vineyards the entire time. So that stands to me, I would say. And the other thing that stands out to me, I do these boot camps in the Okanagan that are a combination of like WSET courses, so time in the classroom, with wine visits, wine tours. So the idea is we're bringing the textbook to life. And I think the most recent one I did this fall went to a huge range of wineries. And it's a difficult time in the Okanagan. There's a lot of reason to be pessimistic and frustrated because of the market, because of the extreme weather events. If you wanted to throw in the towel, I think you'd be forgiven because you have a good excuse or reason to. But I was talking to all these wineries, winemakers, owners, and their optimism and passion for the industry. I kind of left after that week renewed in this amazing optimism among people that like shouldn't have any in a way. And that kind of like inspired me and gave me a new sense of passion as well. So that's what's driving me at the moment.
Wow. All right. That's perfect. Thank you so much for your time. This has been 5 Questions with Geoffrey Moss.
Thanks for having me.